I'd like to call this School District of Sturgeon Bay regular board meeting of education to order. Would everyone rise for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This means we do the roll call.
But Commissioner Starr.
Here.
Commissioner Meyer. Here. Commissioner Haas. Here. Commissioner Jenner here. Commissioner Stefani.
Here.
Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Commissioner Howard is not here. Commissioner Schultz
Here.
and Commissioner Sturgeon.
Here. That's right. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Spricka, seconded by Commissioner Jenner to adopt the motion or adopt the agenda as presented. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now we are to the student council representative report, and we have two, not one, but two people here. So Maya Nell and Lauren Meacham. You have the floor.
Okay, so we're still like, it's the first month of school, so we're still kind of like building up momentum for student council, but we actually have a lot of things going on at the moment. So was that last week? We had the 7th. Yeah, on the 7th, we had the Century Ride volunteer opportunity for student council. So we were there from 7 to 4. We had two different shifts, and we were working the food stand at Cave Point. So that was really fun. That was a good opportunity, and we actually had a good amount of people show up for that.
And then we're also organizing this year our first ever club fair. So on September 22nd, we're having an extended clipper time. So about an hour, we're gonna get dismissed by grade. Each club is gonna have their own table out there with people standing and little flyers. And just some more student engagement. And so people and students know what clubs we offer. And hopefully to get some more members to join.
And then we had our first meeting of the year, and we had a record number of people show up, which was like fantastic. We didn't have any chairs left. People were sitting on the floor. We also had a lot of freshmen show up, which is great because sometimes there are meetings, so that was like wonderful seeing everybody there. And yeah, we had a lot of participation. And then everybody was signing up for events, so that's great. We love to see that.
And with that, homecoming is coming up on October 18th is the dance, 17th is the game. And so we've been starting to plan that. Tomorrow we have like our real planning meeting, but our court is decided. And then we're gonna be planning the games. It's Renaissance theme if you guys didn't know. And so we designed the shirts, and so there'll just be a lot of planning for that coming up.
Also around the hallway, we've been having what's going on. It's these little posters that are around the water fountains and the stairwells and the bathrooms. It just gives a brief overview of the week, sporting events, club meetings, special tests or whatever. So people can just glance around those in the hallways. And we've also been more active on social media. I think it's been working out pretty well. We've had more participation, more people showing up, and more people are staying informed, which is great.
And then also I'm a part of Service Club and Baking Club. And this year we're working on organizing the first ever, we call it like a Halloween run, the Great Halloween Run. So on November 1st, that Saturday, we're right now planning for a half-mile kids costume dash. And then an adult 5K right on the track. And then also I'm a part of Baking Club. So we're gonna have little treats on that. But we're trying to get it rolling and get it published by the end of the week for people. And then also this past Sunday, I helped organize, we had a senior car wash for our class to help fundraise. And it was really fun. Right off the bat at 12:01, we had 6 cars in line. But yeah, it was just like we all had fun. We got to spray each other when we got bored. And we raised a decent amount of money. it just brought our grade more together.
Definitely.
And thank you, Mr. Nerby, for being our,
Thank you.
for just overlooking that.
And then we've also started, this is kind of a new club and with Mr. Blahnik. It's called Beyond the Bell. So it's a student-run news program. It'll show every Friday. It's about a 10-minute video. So we started filming for that. It's really excited, like we cover local news, like all across the county. We feature like a student of the week, a staff member of the week, sporting events, the news and everything. It's really great. We started filming that today. We do some interviews. We'll probably talk to you, Mr. Chino, will eventually, we'll find you. And yeah.
Not in Montana.
Yeah, when you're not in Montana. And it's just really been great. So yeah, we've been keeping busy. It's been a good year so far, and it's only September.
Yeah, only the second week we're trying to get everything we can, but that's all we have for you guys.
That's it?
Yeah,
That's it.
That's good.
So adjourn.
Well, that's right, almost there, right? Might be one of the longer parts of the meeting. So as a quick reminder, ladies, for anyone that may be watching this now or recording later, when you say Clipper time at the high school, just in 10, 15 seconds, what is Clipper time again?
Clipper time, it's a time of the day around 1:15 to 1:45. And on Mondays, you go to your homeroom teacher and then you sign up for if you need assistance for teachers, or sometimes clubs meet, or like you can go to the gym, like you can go anywhere where you need assistance. And so we're just gonna extend this period.
Perfect. And then you mentioned homecoming. So I think on Thursday, October 16th, there's a couple things going on that evening also, right? So you mentioned the dance on Saturday, backing up to Friday festivities.
Wednesday, we have our powder puff.
Wednesday powder puff, but do you play on a certain team, Maya?
We do. The seniors are taking on the juniors once again this year, and we're ready.
Exactly. And on Thursday, doesn't volleyball play?
Yes, we have our senior night.
Yes, so volleyball, and I think we have homeboy soccer that night too. Yep.
Yeah, the seniors are practicing right now. We're confident.
All right, we'll see what happens. Board members, anyone have question or comment for the ladies tonight?
I think it's so nice that you're planning a schedule up around the school. That probably is really helpful for people to kind of clue in on what's going on.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of positive feedback about that. And I think a lot of people like don't understand that we have sporting events almost every day. So I think like we have a lot of student participation because of those. It's great.
And when people are like forced to see them when you're in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So you're actually seeing
Those are all
what's going on.
That club fair too, that sounds like a really good idea, unless you're right, I think there's probably a lot of kids, especially freshmen that have no idea that all those are available.
And then right after the club fair, everyone will get sent like a Google form, and then you click what clubs you're interested in, and then we'll contact you.
I'm gonna fast forward through the year too quickly, but Maya, are you having any thoughts about life after high school and what that list looks like before we,
It's a long list.
all right.
It's only September,
I know.
but maybe next meeting I'll have.
All right, give us an update sometime. And Lauren, are you still quite sure? I think you were on a trip recently.
I was on a trip. I went to the Wisconsin-Alabama game in Alabama. That was really fun, but really hot. But yeah, I got admitted and I what is it called? No, like when you like, I don't wanna say committed, because I'm not for sport. But I'm committed to Alabama.
There we go.
Yeah,
So even though it's hot and humid, not too much to scare you from going there.
no,
Right.
I think it scares my parents, but no.
And I think maybe, did you have a Sturgeon Bay High School alum
Oh, yeah.
show you
so-
around a little bit?
In Tuscaloosa, I met Maddie Blahnik. She was in student council, I believe, and she was just heavily involved in the school, so that was really fun. We're involved in like the same things, so that was really great to meet up with her. And she showed me around her sorority house, and we went to her boyfriend's frat house. It was just really fun, a great experience.
Sounds good. I think we're gonna wrap up the report on sorority and frat reference. Where it's going south.
I think it's fun talk.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you and go enjoy the evening. You don't have to stay the rest of the time, so thanks.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night.
Thanks, ladies.
Next on the agenda here, public comment section. Do we have anyone that doesn't look like we have anyone that's public comment section? So we'll go right down to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, which consists of the following. Approve the meeting minutes of the regular August 20th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting and the September 3rd, 2025 learning session minutes. Point two, approve the August bills that were in your packet, many pages of bills. Point three, grants and under grants and donations, we do have some donations here. We have Clipper Clays, Sporting Clays, $1,875 from Larry Johnson, and also the same amount from David Lott. Next, Raybrook grant was received to assist with the purchase of a ventless oven at Sunrise. Next, we have two $20 gift cards for teachers from Papa Murphy's. And then under the Robert H. Nickel Auditorium ongoing effort, there's $5,000 from Elizabeth and Lillian Boer and family, and then $1,000 from an anonymous donor. Point four, we don't have anything for point four, that's resignations and retirements. That's kind of a standing point on the consent agenda. Under point five, we have approved the New Health Consortium 66.0301 agreement. This is an annual approval discussed at our New Health Consortium meeting. This is simply a part of the annual operations associated with the consortium, as we have been reminded by our current insurance broker, which is M3. We discussed that many times in the past. A motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented is recommended. The motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Schultz and seconded by Commissioner Haas to approve the consent agenda as presented. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we are to the operations agenda, which is our first point here is we're starting, it's that magical mystical time where we have to approve some teacher associates. The first one is Jackie Snow.
Yes, thank you. Food Service Director Jenny Spooty is pleased to welcome Jackie Snow as a part-time member of the food service team. Jackie subbed with us last year and quickly became known for her positive energy, the way she brightens both students and staff members' days. She'd be serving at Sawyer and then assisting at the high school and middle school as well. Jackie's cheerful personality shines through, even to the point of dressing up in themed food costumes to encourage students to try new foods. A motion to approve Jackie Snow as a part-time food service staff member is recommended.
Make a motion to approve Jackie Snow as a part-time food service.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hawes, seconded by Commissioner Cruz to approve Jackie Snow as a part-time food service staff member. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to the next person here, Jean Kukul.
That's right. Mrs. Jean Kukul is a familiar face in our district and excited to welcome her as a matchup Door County teaching associate. Mrs. Kukul has many years of experience as an admin assistant in a neighboring district and here. In addition to assisting at recess and helping in the classroom, she's providing some office support when Mrs. Peterson takes her lunch over at Sunrise. Grateful to Mrs. Kukul's willingness to jump in and for her kind demeanor. It's about 2 hours a day, I think, if I recall, in case you're wondering. A motion to approve Jean Kukul as a matchup Door County teaching associate at Sunrise Elementary School is recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve Jean Kukul as matchup Door County teaching associate at Sunrise.
Second.
I'm good.
Good. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner-John, seconded by Commissioner Hawes to approve Jean Kukul as a matchup Door County teaching associate at Sunrise Elementary School. Further discussion?
What does matchup Door County mean?
It's a community program. I think they are on their second or third director and met with us. Basically, it's one of the many, a unique thing about Door County, right? We have so many nonprofits. They specifically look to partner retirees with some sort of business entity or whatnot, sometimes it's related to what they did in their working years. Sometimes it's something completely different, but they still want to give some time, but they don't want to work, full-time or a large number of hours. Ironically, I bumped into Jean on Monday when I was stopping at Sunrise. After a meeting, she was just coming out and she was just telling me how much, about 2 hours a day works great for her. Structure, still, feeds off of the kids, sees staff, wants to be able to help. And I think in a nutshell, that kind of is what Matchup is trying to do.
Is it a volunteer position or a paid?
It's a paid position, but on a limited, roughly quarter-time basis.
So how many of those positions can we have? I mean, if we have multiple people who are interested, would we entertain that?
I think last year we ended up with, was it 2?
We ended up at 2 at one point. It really ended up with 1. So we have 1 at Sawyer and 1 at Sunrise. We've set it open with all the constraints being budgetary, so.
And some of it depends too, when we had their previous director come in and meet with the admin team, back to your question, Tina, was kind of like, they're not always sure who they have that's going to be interested in a match.
Right.
So matchup, we're just kind of like, oh, some falls, they might have 1 person that's a match, some 0, another time they might have 3. And so we kind of have a small pot of money for that type of thing, and actually not to jump ahead, but when we have the youth apprentice student core coming up, kind of a little fun there, so to speak, where each building we kind of have said could get 1, and then the high school's been nice to kind of allow theirs to go with the YA student for Sunrise, so.
So, further discussion, I'll call it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to Sierra Wilcox.
Director of Special Education Pupil Services Lindsay Ferry and Principal Deke Nerby are pleased to recommend Sierra Wilcox as a Sturgeon Bay High School Teacher Associate. Sierra has earned a bachelor's degree in Spanish/bilingual studies from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Sierra has also earned her certificate for teaching English as a foreign language from the International TEFL Academy. Sierra has been teaching in the school district of Onalaska prior to moving to the area. Only living in Sturgeon Bay for a brief period of time, Sierra is excited to join the school team and reconnect with students and the community that she now lives in. Motion to approve Sierra Wilcox as a teacher associate at Sturgeon Bay High School is recommended.
Move to approve Sierra Wilcox as a teacher associate at the high school. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Haas, seconded by Commissioner Cruz to approve Sierra Wilcox as a teacher associate at the high school. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to Giselle Munoz.
Yes, Mrs. Giselle Munoz returns to Sunrise as a teacher associate in the ID autism room. Ms. Munoz makes strong connections with students. I'm grateful for her ability to communicate with all of our students in both English and Spanish. Motion to approve Giselle Munoz as a special education teacher associate at Sunrise Elementary School is recommended.
Move to approve Giselle Munoz as a special education teacher associate at Sunrise Elementary School.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Schultz and seconded by Commissioner Starr to approve Giselle Munoz as a special education teacher associate at Sunrise Elementary School. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're down to approve the work study student intern.
Yes, Principal Katie Smolin and the staff at Sunrise are pleased to welcome Cora Frangipani to Sunrise. Cora is a senior at Sturgeon Bay High School this year. Will help out as a work study student intern really linked with the youth apprenticeship program. She helped at recess and lunches in addition to classrooms. It's exciting to grow future teachers, and Cora brings positive and consistency to this role and plans to study elementary education in the future. Motion to approve Cora Frangipani as a work study student intern at Sunrise Elementary School is recommended.
I'll make a motion to approve Cora Frangipani as work study student intern at Sunrise.
Second.
I think I heard him first. Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Jenner, seconded by Commissioner Schultz to approve Cora Frangipani as a work.
Commissioner Howard.
Oh, Commissioner Howard. No. Oh, that was James.
James.
Yeah, okay. Motion to approve Cora Frangipani as a work study student intern at Sunrise Elementary School. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're down to reports.
All right, we'll have, who's gonna go first? Principal Nerby's walking forward. I can, add from the item we just approved, Cora, I happened to stop in Molly Cornell's classroom at Sunrise Monday when I was visiting, or I happened to be, in helping with a student. And, the student kind of looked at me and put her hand on Cora's wrist and said, "She's mine." Cute little interaction, so it was great. Clearly, the young students are starting to take to Cora, even though she just started. Mr. Nerby, what do you got for us?
Thank you. Well, I will tell you, student council took a lot of my thunder, so that's good news. If I don't have
There we go.
as much to share, I guess we're gonna need to coordinate, better. A couple things that I want to mention, just within the last couple of days, we got, word, and maybe you saw it on Facebook already, but, Kira Wesley was named a National Merit Scholarship semifinalist. So it's always exciting. Puts her in one of the top, students in the nation, for the Merit Scholarship. So she's in the running for that for later this year. So that's just really exciting to share. So I wanted to recognize her. Couple things. One, the school year started. We've had a great start here at the high school. Things are really, as you heard, super busy. We're moving through a lot of great things, a lot of good events happening already and quickly. And students really seem to be jumping right back into it. Teachers were there, getting back into school shape. Maybe that's just me. One of the key things that I want to talk about, and they hit on some of it with the Clipper Time offering. So over the past couple of years, I've been up here sharing some of the changes we've made with trying to better prepare our students for some of the academic rigor and successes and things that are going on. So several years ago, we started that Clipper Time, offering that opportunity in the school day for our students to learn. Last year, we started a freshman seminar. So all of our freshmen coming in are kind of getting some of those basics, going from middle school to high school. What does that look like? How do they navigate that? And hopefully they're finding that useful, because I know some of you have freshmen, but it's been a great class and really helped. Last year, we significantly reduced freshman failures, which traditionally has been one of our highest failing groups as they come in and try to navigate and figure things out. We had less than 6 kids last year, which is a tremendous growth, and we really put that to having that another set of eyes on those students. And this year we have 2 more things that we're offering our students. So we're starting an after-school study table. So we've had some different opportunities for students this year. There's going to be staff working with students after school 2 days a week, where they can get in more help, more questions, more things for students. Sometimes we have students who may get an after-school detention. This is an opportunity for those students to, rather than just sit in a detention room, they can actually meet with teachers and work, because sometimes there's a direct correlation between them needing some supports. So we're excited to offer that to our students. And then we're starting a new academic prep program this year to help our students build study skills, work on some of those assessments. And so that's built into our day as well, once a week. We haven't started that yet, but we'll be starting that next month. So just another opportunity to kind of provide for our students and give some of those study prep strategies to them. I was going to talk about the event we have next Monday for the course fair, or the club fair, which we're really excited about. We've been talking about that for several years, and to finally have that in place is one of our school goals, is to increase student participation. We know students who are engaged with school often do better academically. So we're right around the 70% of our students are engaged in something. We want to build that up to 80 to 85%. So this is our goal, to really try and show students all of the opportunities they have here at the high school. They talked about homecoming, so I won't mention all of that great stuff that's coming up next month. But I did want to just remind everybody that this Friday we have our Hall of Fame induction. So we're inducting 3 former either students or coaches into our Hall of Fame this Friday. So we have a little reception for them before the football game, and then during the football game, they will be brought out, or representatives of their families will be brought out and honor them. And the 3 outstanding additions that we have for the Hall of Fame are Barbara Klepach, Fandau. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
When she was here. Casey Rock and Jim Benish are the 3 inductions this year. So we're excited to recognize them.
Are you doing that before the game or at halftime?
It'll be during halftime is when they'll be coming in. So. Thank you.
How many clubs do we have
Oh.
altogether?
Oh, that's a great question. It always varies a little bit because like this year we have two more that are
Sure.
starting up, but we're right around 22 clubs, which for our size is really, really impressive.
Certainly plenty of opportunity there.
There's really no, and so I met with all of the students at the beginning of the year, start the year, the whole rah, we got this. And I talk about that. There's no reason you can't find something. We have everything from chess club to math club to, sailing. We have, just everything, baking club. I mean, everything you can really imagine. So there's just so many opportunities for students. Thanks.
Can't see anymore. I get these. All right, so hey, welcome. I see you all. We just want to go through a couple brief points. Our focus for the first about 11, 12 days is just setting the tone with classroom behavioral expectations. Sounds simple, but to make sure I get 20+ people all on the same page with what is common in everybody's room, and then all the areas in the building. And then you connect that with how we're going to be teaching the kids the social emotional learning aspects that we're going to be doing in our Clipper time as well, which Jen, whatever will touch base on. But we're more on the same page than probably ever and dialed in on this than ever before. So that's good news. And I'm proud to say that's been a positive because it takes a lot of the confusion on how Jake Holtz would run his class, how Andy Starr would run his class, or what's expected when someone's going to be in downtime. That's all. So we're really worked hard on that. On a couple, another front that I think you need to be aware of, we hired Julia Peterson to be our EL coordinator, right? So she's been working steadfast with myself and Moy. We have every student, think of it like a special ed student has to do the individual education plan. EL world is called individual students learning plan. So these students, if they don't have one, they get screened by Julia or Moy, because so we're going to be screening the kindergartners. We have all of them. We're looking at about 88 kids that we have written plans for, and anyone new that comes into the district will receive a plan, be screened within the first 5 days, and this information is going to go home to parents. So we've really, that's behind the scenes. There's been a lot going on. To her credit, she's been meeting with parents. She offered meetings with the middle school and high school staff. A few staff, we need to get a few more coming, right? But a few are coming out asking for help, asking for a guidance. She's been giving them one pages, feeding them, hey, this is how we're going to help out a kid that speaks very little English or writes very little. This is how you're going to help them learn the 1 or 2 main things they need to learn that day, so they can keep moving forward. So Julia's working hard. She's working with Beth Van High. I'm glad we have her. We're further ahead than ever before. And it's taken a lot off my plate to focus on some things that kind of been on the back burner. And it is just a couple brief updates here. This Friday, we have a tailgate ties to incentives, like, hey, you have to come to school, you can't miss up, you can't, at this point, it's only 12 days, but you can't miss 2 or more, you're not coming, and you're not invited. You also have to be taking everything and have C's or better. September 23rd, we have a book move out meeting with the 6th graders. And a nice thing coming up is September 30th. We have a Seal Smile program coming in. That's for all the students. It's a free program. We're doing a checkup now, and in January, they'll put sealant on students' teeth that lack. Because it's going to help fight cavities and help them out. So good program. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. As Mrs. Smallman comes on down, Mark mentioned Beth Vandehay, along with our person Julia, works with EL. You've heard that name before. Beth works for CISA 7. So when we talk about working with CISA to help, Beth goes around and supports districts, whether they have an EL person or persons, right? We have our first, but she has supported some of our people that have been point people in the past. So a good CISA resource. Katie, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, we started school well. The first days are always like learning how you do school. So we call it cool tools, like how do we act in the playground? How do we act in the lunchroom? And then we just keep reinforcing and positively reinforcing with Clipper Cash. And so a lot of new students from different districts this year, different states. And so it's really like, hey, this is how we do things here. And we'll just keep reminding you and doing it. Staying positive, because we at Sunrise, like, we really pride ourselves in that feeling of welcomeness and positivity. So overall, things are going well. Good start. Every year we for the past 3 years we've done Sunrise orientation. So it was September 11th. And we welcome families to learn about their child's class. They sit in there where their child sits and they hear from their teachers and they get to answer questions. And then afterward, we do have pizza and apples and lemonade and just to kind of help build community. We asked them this year to sit by their class, so they can learn who their children's parents are, just kind of build that community. That's really important for us. By pizza count, we had over 100 people there, children in the playground just having a ball. So that was really great that our staff came together to make that happen, and donations from Wood Orchard. Wow, some really great apples. And so we are wrapping up assessments, and our PTO sponsored that too. So we used building funds and PTO funds. It was really awesome. Wrapping up assessments right now. So that's good. So we can see what kids need, see what happened over the summer, if they did a little sliding or not. And so to get them what they need, I have a rolling office now cart. So I walk around with my little rolling office and my laptop, and it's really nice. See what's going on out there. That's all I have.
Do you ever have snacks on your rolling cart? This is smelling.
I do.
I think you made a delivery to Mr. Degendorf's class when I was visiting the other day, and a young man was fascinated that they actually make a box of, I think it was fruit snacks that
Yeah.
large.
And we're working on that actually, because they've got to be healthy snacks. So I'm doing my best.
They were Mott's fruit snacks.
I gotta
Correct.
work on that a little bit, so. Yes, they were fruit snacks.
Thank you, Mrs. Smolin.
Pure fruit.
There we go. All the good stuff. Yes. He had to verify the number. I don't know if it was the box of 100 or what it was, but he couldn't believe it. Walked right over to check. It was great. Hello, Mrs. Millers.
Just like everything else, school has started at Sawyer, and it's been overall a really good start. Katie mentioned assessments, and those are happening now. I was in at an MLSS meeting, which is where our literacy, math, and social emotional coaches meet with our staff today. And I was in literacy, and I found out they're doing such great work. They've already finished the screening for Acadians for our second graders, and they already know and have identified 15 of our kindergarten through second grade students that, need help beyond the universal tier 2. We call them tier 3 students, and they're starting with them on Monday. They're not letting any more time go by. They've worked really hard, our coaches and our interventionists, and they're going to start meeting those kids' needs, and then we'll have a data dig in October, find out more and place all of our kids. So I'm really proud of their work, and it seems like we do it faster every year. They're just getting really good at that. Some community and school events that are coming up. Fire prevention presentations are already this Friday. That's always fun. Firefighters come and do that. Next week, Wednesday, the bookmobile shows up. That's always fun, giving away books to our kids, a nice event. We have 2 memorial events coming up for 2 of our teachers who have passed away soon. One is September 29th. I'm not sure if any of you know, or people out in the public, Jeannie Bernard passed away in 2022. And there is going to be in our multi-purpose room a picture and a beautiful plaque having an event. And some of the kindergarten teachers will be speaking at that. I didn't have the pleasure of knowing her, but she was a wonderful kindergarten teacher. And then Deanna Vanden Langenberg, who was a first and second grade teacher at Sawyer, who passed away more recently, will have an event on October 9th. Her family donated some money. We've purchased a little library for Sawyer. So that will be outside, and we'll have an event. Family members are coming. So, shout out to Scott Hackers, tech guy. He made the little library. So that was nice with his students. Last but not least, a little bit about the playground. We have another committee meeting coming up. We are actually changing vendors. We are changing vendors for a very specific reason. We have not gotten consistent communication and feedback from the vendors that we had. We are going with Little Tikes Commercial. They have a commercial area. I don't know if that's the right word, but not only have they been very responsive, but the price is less overall. Our current, got some fundraising coming up. You'll hear more about that probably in some board updates, but currently for Sawyer, we need to raise about 520,000. It was closer to 700,000 with the other vendor and getting about the same things. And we have 200,000, just about 200,000. So we still have a ways to go. It's a mighty small committee. We had a PTO meeting this week, and some more parents are joining us. An upcoming event is a Papa Murphy's pizza. They make the pizzas for us. We collect the the orders and they bring them all to Sawyer and then we split them up and people come and get them and we get 50% of the profit. So I guess the choir has done it before. I don't know, I should ask Keith, but little things like that are happening. We're always still seeking donors too, and it's never stopped. It's just going to be slow going and we'll stick to it. We'll get there. But that's all I have. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie, for the updates.
Yeah.
Looks like Director Ferry is coming on down next.
Okay. Well, I've got 4 different groups to update you on tonight. First, our special education group. Coming back this year, our numbers have remained consistent with where we ended last year. So we ended with about 176 students last year in May. We are starting at 172 students. So in thinking about what that'll look like by the end of the year, we know that we'll have more students with disabilities in our district than what we did last year, which isn't a surprise to us. We're also servicing about 20 Section 504 plans in the district. So right now we're about roughly 16% of the district. I know you hear me talk about percentages of districts and how healthy we need to be. And so I still feel comfortable with that percentage and where we're at in terms of all the extra work we're doing to prevent students coming down the special ed route too. One thing that is new to us this year that we haven't seen in any of the years that I've been here is that we have a significant increase in initial special education requests from parents. So we have 14 initial requests from summer into August into September. Last year at this time I had 4. So that is something that we never know when they're coming through. And so our team has to adjust to accommodate all of the requests because they all come with a timeline. We have to make sure we get those dates in. So that data tells me that we do still have significant concerns from parents and families in the districts about what support their child is or isn't receiving or what extra supports we could be providing. So we're processing all of those. Our pupil service team is equally as busy, ensuring all of our students have the support that they need. Our counselors participate in Altrusa, back to school events, and individual family contacts to support students coming back to school. A huge help and shout out to Brittany Greenfield. Brittany is, when you approved her, was Rickerson. She is our new district social worker. She's been a welcome addition to our team this year and has already been meeting with families, attending student meetings, and making connections with our community partners. Today, she left a meeting with DCMC and learned about another financial option for families who receive medical care. So she's able to reach out and bring all of this information back to our students and therefore our families. So it's been a huge help so far. One special note that Brittany did share is that at this point this year already, we have 17 students who have qualified for McKinney-Vento. As a reminder, McKinney-Vento is students who are homeless in our district. And so we have 17 students within our student population that are either doubled up, living with another family and or motel, hotel, car, etc. So I think that's important to note as we think about, you know, the health of our district and what our families and students are really going through as they come into school each day. And then 2 other programs. We have 2 alternative programs. So in the past, we were housed at the Boys and Girls Club. This year, we moved both programs over to Hope Church. And so it's been a welcome change, I think, for them. It's more space. And they're closer to the district office. So we've got kids coming and going, which is a nice connection for the students who are in alternative programs to still have contact with their school and or playgrounds over at Sunrise. So the 2 programs this year, we have the alternative virtual program, EVP. That program is for students in grades 6 through 12, and it is entirely online. So we've talked a lot about the difference between the high school program that's housed in the library and then also the alternative program. This program is really meant for students who are either credit deficient, behind in their credits, and or seeking alternative pathways to learning. So instead of losing them to other districts, we've created our own. And so right now we have 7 students already enrolled in that program. Tomorrow we have 1 more meeting, so that'll probably be our 8th student already starting. Last semester was our first semester we opened, and we had 5 students total that whole semester. So we're already above of what we housed last year. And then the other program that we have there is called Rebound Door County, RDC. I like my acronyms. The students who are eligible for that program are in grades 2 through 5. And this is really an in-person self-regulation skill building program. So looking to support students in giving them those skills, giving them better strategies to cope with big emotions, removing them from their traditional learning environment, working with them with the hope of then transitioning them back in a better place so that they can do learning in their traditional school. Right now, we don't have any students enrolled in that program, which is as designed. We don't want to be removing kids from campus at such a young age without having all of the data, all of the interventions attempted on campus first. And so typically we start seeing kids enroll in that program come late October, early November. And so those teams there have been in our buildings, observing kids, helping staff, coming up with plans, doing our best to keep kids in school as long as we can. And that's what I have for you this week.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
We'll keep track of the acronyms in the future.
17's a lot. Kids in that homeless.
Yeah. Hello, Director Weber. What do you got for us tonight?
Hi. I always have a bunch of stuff written down and then I listen to them and I think of all kinds of new things. One of the most interesting parts of my job is to make sure that all of the folks get to do what they need to do without trouble, right? So I'm trying to like remove barriers and make communication and the work easier. So one of my big ticket items this year is a program called Next Path, which is a data warehouse that we're implementing this year. And I bring it up now because I think that as I listen to the rest of the team talk about all the things that are going on, everything from our SEL work district-wide to the Act 20 reading screeners, the intervention groups, Lindsay's alternative programs, all of those things are going to filter into NextPath, allowing us to share data, look at data together. There's communication tools within that program. So you're gonna be hearing a lot more about NextPath. As I said, I rolled it out at the beginning of this year, worked on a little bit this summer, and so far the feedback is really, really good. So when you have data in front of you, it'll look a little different than you've seen in the past because we'll be utilizing that program and I think you'll like it as well. Back to that SEL work district-wide. We've made some really large strides that I'm very excited about. This summer, if you'll remember, we had CISA 7 come in at the end of last year to do an audit in each one of our buildings. And we were looking specifically for what we're doing well, what we need to improve and some quick wins. And they came through in a really big way for us. The 2 consultants from CISA 7 wrote reports for us and we dug through them this summer with a core team of people. From that, we formulated a plan to kick off the beginning of the school year. And I know this seems like a simple thing, but it has been huge. We have 1-page behavior expectation documents for each one of our buildings. And that just means like when my 13 new teachers walked in this summer, I was able to hand each one of them, oh, you work at Sawyer. Here's the expectations and you are going to be supported in these. This is what you can do to start your classroom off on the right foot. It allowed our admin team to share that same information with the rest of the staff as well. And we're really working on that universal agreement across the district. So I know, like I said, it seems like a simple thing, but it's really, really huge. And then of course I need to mention my tech team. So you know, the less we hear of them, the better, I guess, I always think, right? So if things are going well, then you don't hear much about the computers and the devices and things like that. But they work hard all summer, especially Nelson and Spencer. It's important for you to know that they replaced all grade for 1, 5, and 9 Chromebooks. All of the middle school and high school teachers got brand new laptops. That's not just like unboxing things and handing them out. It's major upgrades and lots of work going on all summer. So I'm really excited that we're farther ahead this year than we were last year and further ahead that year than we were the year before. Finally, Jen Hansen. You might remember us talking about SITA, which is like a tech PD sharing conference. I should have found a better way to say that. But essentially it's teachers teaching teachers, right? So this takes place at the end of July. Ashwaubenon has been hosting it for the last couple years. And it's sponsored by EWITSI, which I believe is Eastern Wisconsin Integration Technology Committee. Anyway, Jen Hansen plays a lead role in that, and she presented 3 topics this summer, and several of our staff members participated in that this summer as well. So you'll be hearing more about Next Path. You'll be hearing more about SEL, and we're off to a good start. Thanks.
Hey, Jen, if acronym questions, we'll direct them to Director Ferry though, rather than Jake Roberts. Sit on EWC. Jake's got some information for us, a business manager update.
So now the buzzkill.
That's funny, right?
So much fun.
That's right.
Actually, let me grab. All right, so in my report, I give you some budget updates, levy updates, and then I talk a little bit about enrollment. The official count is not until Friday. So at that point, we count everybody, every kid that we're serving, and then we start reporting officially or certify, make sure it's accurate, all of the open enrolled in kids. Every other district's doing the same thing. So Southern Door, Sevastopol, et cetera. We have, every school has until the following Friday, the 26th, to certify those open enrollment numbers. That said, I went through with Amy Lattenbach, got some enrollment, and really tried to dive into where we're at with open enrollment so I can have some numbers. The early returns are not good, or is not as good as we'd like them to be. And we'll go over this a little bit more in depth, and I'll have more charts and graphs for you at our October 1st meeting. But I wanted to get this in front of you if you needed to start pondering prior to that. Basically where the open enrollment numbers put us is $20,000 surplus. So that went from 100,000 to 20,000 after we went through the open enrollment numbers. I don't expect those open enrollment numbers to shift a ton, right? We'll have some, that address is actually Sevastopol, vice versa. But this handout that I put together, right on the left, you see what I've shared before with our base levy, some updated budget numbers in there. And just tried to do a visual with some notes over, right, what some of the options are. So wanted to share that with you. Certainly if you have questions at this point, feel free to ask. But we'll also go through in depth this along with some of that enrollment stuff on the first. That's really the big thing. That I've been doing, working through that, enrollments, budget, levy, yeah. Questions?
So you're gonna want us to pick one of these options.
One or some kind of combination, yeah, yep, right, I think. Deciding, okay, where do we want the levy to land, or what are we comfortable with within this? Is what we're gonna need to decide. You know, some, maybe not a decision on the first, but some great direction. So I'll be publishing, with the help of Mrs. Demise, the
Budget worksheet?
No, the proposed budget, thank you, Ann. And that needs to go out to the Pulse to meet all our deadlines by the 30th. So, right, we won't have any of our talks or really any direction from you guys. So what I'm gonna put in there, so everybody's aware, is the one that's on the left, right? I'd rather have that there and move that down than take the one on the right and move it up and have somebody complain that way. So FYI on that, what'll go out on the Saturday, the 4th, or the Friday, the 3rd in the Pulse, will be what's on the left. But yeah, on the first, we'll talk through, okay, where do we think we'd want to land? somewhere in here pending any other changes between the first and really the 15th. So,
Jake, I have a question.
Yeah.
There's some differences in these different forecasts. Thanks for putting them together.
yeah,
It would help me maybe understand like where, like there's a difference in the projected surplus in Fund 10. And I see the other difference is around Fund 39, which is like for a roof, right?
Fund 39 would be our debt service.
Oh, that's the debt
Yes,
service.
Fund 39 is debt service, Fund 41 would be roofing, we talked about wall project, wall ceiling project, if you will. For Fund 41, and then the changes, if you look up at the headers in each column, that's kind of talking about, okay, so. Like the middle right, we would, that got cut off, I apologize when I printed, right, add 50,000 to Fund 10. And so that's where that's a little bit different.
So like what in past years, like, because I know sometimes we run into unexpected costs as hard as you try to forecast all of them. Like, what is our comfort zone around having a little bit of surplus in Fund 10 for us to like deal with unexpected stuff during the year?
I usually build in, I like to be conservative with projections, so on the revenue side, that means. Right, we know what our revenue limit is, that's boom, right there, but stuff like Medicaid, interest income from when we're able to set or put money into our investment accounts, stuff like that, right? Keep those on the lower side. Similar to expenses, say utilities or maybe athletic lesson, right? Get that a little bit on the higher side, so that can close a little bit. I'm not terribly scared about 20,000. I think as we go, keeping a close eye on that, because history tells me that would grow, absent anything major. I'd like to get to, we need to put at least $50,000 back into the fund balance at year end. I think 20,000 would, right, if we sat here and said $20,000 projected surplus, good chance we would get there based on what history tells me. Yeah.
Want to just remind them of the connection between the fund balance addition and how then we don't have to short-term borrow, which we've been able to avoid now for a number of years and avoid those expenses.
Yep, common mistake, understandable, right? Fund balance is not cash in the bank, right? It's not our savings account. What fund balance is on June 30th, which is our fiscal year end, we report our equity, which business class reminder, equity is your assets, which is your cash plus your accounts receivables, right? Minus your liabilities, right? What you have to pay out. And so within that fund balance, yes, some cash, but also accounts receivable that, for example, our last tax payment, we don't get until August 20th. The check doesn't have to be written until August 20th. From August 20th to the first Monday in December, we really don't get any major income. We got 150,000 maybe in equalization aid this past week. And that is really it until we get our next equalization aid payment. Historically, that's gonna be about 25% of what we're supposed to get. So that's gonna be in that 900 to a million range, 900,000 to a million range. And then our first January tax payment, which is January 15th. So what that does, right? It helps us operate between August 20th and that fund balance helps us operate and avoid short-term borrowing. And saving some money.
I think before Jake came, we were pretty much borrowing every year.
Yes.
Basically to pay our teachers. Right?
Yeah.
Like to do
Yeah.
paychecks. So we would
Yeah.
take out a loan to pay, so that, until we could get to the tax fee.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You got healthcare, all that.
Yeah.
That cost too, right?
Short-term borrowing is not uncommon, as some of us know, but it's nice to have the, fiscal strength, if you will, to be able to avoid that. And then, some of those interest charges and whatnot that go with it.
It helps us too when you're right for credit ratings.
Absolutely. Anything else to highlight, at least for the moment, Jake, right? So again, just a reminder, and for anyone watching maybe this that doesn't see what the board sees, so kind of taxing to our authority through the revenue limit on the left-hand side. And then other scenarios where, yes, right, as I talked about, and I'll touch on this later in the session last night, but we want to lessen the impact on property taxpayers, obviously. We also know lessening that sometimes then runs the risk of increasing the impact the following year. And we know, right, not this year, but next year, it's very uncertain what we're hearing about federal taxes. So Ben talking about it, we'll continue. Andy, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, looking at what you've got laid out here, and I really appreciate that. We look at the mill rate from last year.
Yeah.
We would be somewhere in between the left and the next column, right?
Right.
So, I mean, to me, that sounds like an okay thing from an acceptance of the community.
It's not horrible.
Yeah.
From my perspective, right, the mill rate is, right, your levy or your total property value divided by your levy and vice versa. Total property value is going up for 15% in the city, right? So let's say your property value goes up 15%, you're not making 15% more. Yeah.
Is that the actual number?
That's the estimated number.
Oh, okay.
As of right now, that's usually pretty close.
Okay.
Right, so you're not making 15% more, even though the value went up 15, so.
Yep.
Yes, there's some comfort you can take in that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
As you think of things, feel free, right? Shoot Jake a message, reach out. We'll make sure that we'll continue to kind of make this, give you options. Make it as clear and helpful as possible for the learning session, right? Which then gives us direction, even though again, you don't prove anything tonight, the learning session, then get us ready for budget and levy approval, which again is on the 4th Wednesday of the month in October. Board members, you know that. I'm just kind of saying that aloud for anyone else, right? So that the 3rd Wednesday, because that's too close to the aid certification date from the state, we go back to the 4th Wednesday and get plenty of time. Otherwise, thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
President Stefani, I'll just touch on the last 4 items in my report. I will go in reverse order so I can finish kind of with the fiscal stuff. The very last item, communication and marketing. Okay, a couple of different things. Continuing to talk with Brian Nickel from the Donovan Group about, again, some services we already paid for last year. We're working with the communication marketing master plan. Also then did a Zoom meeting with him and their videographer, Ben, who's going to be coming around homecoming to shoot the video, right? Fall in Door County, the video that they owe us. Looking at kind of option 2, which of the 2 video types for those that were interested in that sort of thing is kind of the narrated version. That's kind of the modern version of what they're going with. Plus they can squeeze that down shorter, which again, I know I'm old, right? You think of a nice video, well, between 60 and 90 seconds is the type of thing that can be shared and viewed on social media and all those types of things. So continuing to work through that process. So stay tuned on that. The admin team will help us out with kind of which rooms they can visit and all that sort of stuff when Ben comes. The rec facility, right? Again, last learning session, you heard from the steering committee. Yes, Mike and I certainly, as far as district reps, attend those meetings, but it was nice for you to hear from those other folks. If you have questions, again, we'll make sure you have a chance to kind of circle back to that and share those. Email anytime, ask anytime, or we can touch on it briefly at the learning session in person. And then the thinking is that the board, just like eventually the city council, would give a stamp of approval to the master plan, which again, doesn't commit. I mean, that's certainly not a referendum, isn't committing us to X number of capital dollars. Yes, we'll work with the city to continue to maintain, but at least giving the master plan kind of a stamp of approval so that between, city dollars, right, through, through the kind of the TIF dollars that Josh talked about, through other donations and grants that would have to happen to make it work. That just kind of paves the way to that, right? So again, nothing that we are committing to on the capital side there.
However, just to jump in.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
That is probably something that we're gonna have on the agenda for October for
The regular meetings,
regular
as far as
meeting
the
to give
stamp
the
of approval. Yeah.
stamp approval to the master plan, just so you're aware, just so you have time.
The city did last week, right? They
The city
put
is,
their stamp on it, I thought last week.
I'm trying to remember if it was the full council or the two committees that had seen
yeah, I'm
it.
not,
You're absolutely, I mean, it's going through
It's
the
going
committees,
through-
through the council.
And the one thing I would really like is for the public to know that we're not using tax dollars for this.
Right.
Because I'm afraid that there might be some people that think we're using tax dollars.
Are you referencing our tax dollars?
I was gonna say, under the umbrella of the district, I think is
Yeah.
what
Right.
Commissioner.
They are using tax
Not
dollars.
the
Right,
city
but
tax.
the city piece would
Just
be.
not the school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and every day, there's something positive going on towards that. We had an email today that was very exciting about possible funding sources. Well, we're gonna have to look. The funding source for the city that may work. So anyway, go ahead.
The last two items really both kind of deal with finance, so we'll finish on that, kind of circling back to what Jake talked about. So some of you know, I did show up at an event last night to help talk about how public schools are funded. About 50 people in attendance. I sent you an email on that today if you want to take a look. So that was, I think, good. The Pulse, I'm sure Eleanor was there. She'll do a piece on it, etc. But what's kind of interesting is that other than being able to kind of plug the website that we've talked about in meetings, right, that we want to have a page just for taxpayers that I went up and running before our November board meeting. I was able to put a plug in for that kind of near the end of my remarks and the end of the Q&A session last night. But I was able to share some key talking points, and I've sent you a couple of different versions, so you have those. We had a couple parents who are also involved in our PTO, a couple moms that were there, got to talk to them as I emailed one of them today. It's always nice to see a familiar face. I think we had reps from Sturgeon Bay, Sebastopol, and Gibraltar. I didn't notice anyone from Southern Door. Maybe I missed someone. So I think that was good. And really, I think things that they found interesting, in fact, bordering on kind of the audible gasp, would be around, kind of like that trend as far as Jake's talking about it, right? That the different things, right? So on the one hand, yes, there's the piece about special ed funding, right? They found that very interesting that, yes, we might be getting another $335,000 from the state this year in increased special ed funding. And again, it's positive, right? Plugging that in, even with last year's special ed numbers, though, that still leaves us a couple $1 million short, right? Where we're transferring from the general fund to cover that. So some of those, without getting too far into that, was a follow-up to Ann Chapman from WASBO. We did a really nice presentation, right? Bipartisan group, right? Do all that research, share information. She explained some things to the audience, and then Brett and I were able to kind of add some local color to that, knowing Gibraltar's situation, very different from ours. So anyway, that special ed piece, that really, they found that interesting. Some of our demographics, the group seemed to find that interesting, which is kind of an indirect, right, connection, right? As we look at whether, Lindsay talked about, right, number of special eds or percentage of special ed students, as we think about really that socioeconomic status, right, free and reduced lunch numbers, you're aware. I got a bit of an audible gasp too, as we shared numbers and how we're the highest, right, in Brown County, minus Green Bay, Kewaunee County, Door County. So just giving them a snapshot, really who we are. Also, when it comes to our ethnicity, Jake talked about it in last year's report, right? But for last October, when he did the presentation, right, for the first time we had slid, although just barely, below 75% white students. So we're certainly seeing, right, more ethnicity as far as you look nationwide, maybe if not a ton in Door County always. And how that impacts in that same 3-county area. We have us as Schwabenau and West Appear basically being the most ethnically diverse. They're also in a different situation as far as who they're attracting from Green Bay and how that helps them open enrollment wise, where we're not getting that. So interesting, some of those facts that they enjoyed. And then really probably the two pieces that they found the most interesting, and I have shared this with Joel Kitchens and I talked about a half hour this morning about the session and some of those types of things, is that as we look at that shifting support, right, less support that we are seeing from the state, which means more involves property taxes, which we've talked about the last several meetings, including even before the state budget was approved. Here were the percentages I shared with them, and then I'll kind of finish with the equalization general school aid, but really total state support. And again, credit to Jake for pulling all these together. I pulled the thoughts together, put blanks in, Jake calculated all the numbers so I could share them with the group last night, and this will go on the website also eventually. But really, from 2 years ago, we were looking at total state support from the state at about 35.8%. The last year, about 34.7%, not a huge difference, to this year, 31.6%. And if that state support certainly is getting less, we know what that means with local property taxes, because that's how it works in the state of Wisconsin. Property tax support 2 years ago at 45.2%, the last year at 51.9%, to this year, and again, projecting basically that left column Jake talked about, to 55.2%. So you see kind of a roughly, where that's shifting. And then the really kind of the showstopper number wise, really, when you look at that equalization or general school aid conversation, right? State budget didn't put any new dollars into that. So we knew that that was going to be an issue. Listen to these numbers. So back in 23-24, general school aid was $5,022,785 for Sturgeon Bay, / Sturgeon Bay residents, if you will. Last year, 24-25, it went down a little bit, $4,791,472. Again, about $213,000 less. So less, but not markedly so. But now here's the drop for this year. And a part of why we're wrestling with all these other conversations even more than most. Now for 25-26, that would drop to $3,985,036, which is $806,000 less than a year ago. Right? You combine those two, you can quickly, well, the math on that's easy. That's over $1 million. When you couple that with the other pieces in play, right, that's a real impact. And again, that was definitely something that folks found very interesting last night. And I highlighted to the group exactly what Jake made the point of, that we and about, I think it's 90, 91 other districts, right? Right about 90, that drop of $800,000+, if not for the state's hold harmless situation, would be worse yet. Because no district can drop more than, I think it's 15% in a single year. And so really, if not for that hold harmless clause, our drop would have been worse yet. But again, not alone out of 421 districts, when you have, 91 of us, there's a number going through this, right? So you look across the counties, look what's happening. Less state support, more on the backs of local property taxes, but what else are you going to do when everything else costs more, et cetera, et cetera. So again, that's a part of going back to those scenarios Jake has laid out for you, why it's getting more and more. I mean, it's been challenging in the past, certainly, but it's getting more and more challenging. And those are some of the real numbers behind it.
You mentioned that you spoke with Joel Kitchens.
Yeah.
I think the other 91 districts are similarly speaking directly to their representatives to consider like how this impact is affecting almost a quarter of the schools in Wisconsin are kind of like in this difficult spot right now.
Yeah, for the group last night, of course, one of the things is a call to action. What can people do about it, right? Like, well, contact your elected official, be informed on what's going on in your local school district, of course, right? Read our materials, come listen at a meeting if they're interested, whatnot, but then talk to their elected officials. And I think the reality, and again, Joel can give you his own perspective on this, but I've heard him talk about it at meetings before. The reality is there are some places in the state where elected officials are talking to their local business managers, superintendents, coming to meetings, right? Joel and I host meetings where we have Door and Kewaunee County superintendents come together. Joel and some of his colleagues do show up at our CISA 7 meetings with the superintendents in Green Bay roughly every other month. But the reality is, and again, this is fact, there are plenty that really aren't engaging in the conversation, aren't visiting local schools or being involved in those conversations. True of both Republicans and Democrats, right? Just some are not that involved. And I think one of the things he had said when we were talking today is, that's concerning because we know school funding in the state of Wisconsin, right? That's the biggest piece of the state budget pot. So if we have elected officials that aren't engaging and to really understand school finance, which yes, can be complex, but not talking with, no matter where they live in the state, their local school districts, how are they really understanding? What are the ramifications then, not only for kids and families now, But frankly, I've shared with a few of my colleagues in the last week, like, what is this gonna look like in Wisconsin 20 or 30 years from now? Who's gonna be here to live and work and whatnot? When it would seem like some strategic decisions need to be made in Madison that appear to be lacking right now. My observation.
Thanks for doing the community event. I think that's awesome. And I heard really great things about it. It sounds like you did well.
Told people I try not to mess it up. Thanks. And I may have the occasional story or two on Allison from her sister from their years growing up. So who knows when some of that may show up.
Well, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Before I look to get a motion to adjourn, just a reminder, so that everybody's really paying attention here. Our October meeting is on October 22nd, which is a week later than normal. And it starts at 5:15 promptly. Because remember, the reason we have it delayed a week is because of everything we're just talking about. We will have some budgetary information that we got the week before. So if we had the meeting the week before, we would be trying to act on something that, or understand something we don't even know. So please be prompt on October 22nd, be ready to start at 5:15.
And just to clarify for someone listening, right, that's the budget related workshop we have, right? Anyone, I mean, so open meeting can show up at 5:15. The regular meeting will still start at 6 p.m. like usually is the case, but yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
No, thank you for the reminder.
It's our workshop on the budget because we need to go through some things with Jacob, isn't
Yeah,
that?
that and the tax levy stuff that night.
Exactly.
I think, Andy, you were gonna say or ask?
I was just gonna ask, and from what it sounded like, are we gonna have on the agenda, an item to actually approve the memorial field project?
Just the plans as presented, that we are behind the project. That has nothing to do with funding the project, just that we've had listening sessions, we've had, this has been in all the media outlets in the last 2 to 3 weeks. We had our learning session.
Yep.
So yes, short answer is yes.
That this would be so that potential donors and
Yes.
know that the school district is on board with the city and with the way the plan.
The major players are on board agreeing that this is the direction in the phases. Remember, there's phases. Remember, we went over the phases?
Yeah.
In a phased approach to change.
It just seems like, because at that presentation, it was like, well, we could do this phase, we could not do this phase, and so to approve the whole thing without.
I think they said that this could change, but maybe we're agreeing to the potential use of the land, right? Like, cause of the shared.
It's
space.
just, yes. I mean, the reality is as I see it, and maybe Dan can jump in here too, but from all our meetings, this is a phased approach. So really, what we're looking at is if we can get to the point that we do phase 1, right? And now my hope is once phase 1 starts, you start shoveling, breaking ground and all that, that could snowball into, okay, now somebody's, hey, this is great that you're doing that. We're fixing, the track, the things that are in phase 1, right? But then there could be potential avenues of donors or what have you that boy, I want to be part of the Memorial Field deal and the phase 2 or, whatever phase that tickles your fancy,
Yeah.
So that's the deal.
Do we have a learning session before October 22nd though?
There's some.
Is the first, okay, thanks.
All right, that's all unless somebody has anything else. I have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Schultz, seconded by Commissioner Jenny on the adjourn. Further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're adjourned.
Dan,
Yeah.
if we don't see you again.
Ever again.